for now. We're waiting to load the connection to make the connection between Zoom and YouTube.
And you see the first slide now. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
To make the connection between Zoom and YouTube.
And you see the first slide now. Yeah.
We are live.
Perfect. Maria, can you mute yourself? Because I think we get the double sound.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar, The Roadmap to the International Student Lifecycle. This is a webinar organized by the Erasmus Careers project consortia, and it's a project that it has been co-funded by the European Union. My name is Adriana Pérez Encinas, and I am Associate Professor in Business Organizations at Universidad Autónoma de Madrid in Spain, and also I'm active member of the HEIs, part of the General Council, and also HEIs trainer on international student experience. I am here with you today as PI for UAM of the Erasmus Careers project. And in the last 10 years, I have devoted my professional time to study and research about international student mobility, internationalization of higher education, support services, management, and structures at universities, amongst other interest fields. Here you see in the screen some of the recent contributions that I have done to the literature about the international student experience and international student mobility. So just before I continue, I would like to remind you that this webinar is recorded, and it will be available in the YouTube channel of ESN, and also in some other social media that we'll be sharing soon. So, what is the Erasmus Careers project? This is an Erasmus plus K Action 2 Cooperation Partnership project, and the main objective it is still, because we didn't finish it, we are in the process, but it's to ensure that competencies that are gained on mobility contribute to the career prospects of the Erasmus Plus participants. When we ask the question to the student, or even to ourselves as researchers, like, did you have the support in understanding the learning path you were in when you went on mobility? What we find out is like there is a lack in support in identifying and assessing competencies that international students have gained through these formal or informal activities when they were either studying or doing an internship abroad. For that, we started this project, and this project is formed by a group of 6 partners located in different parts of Europe. Erasmus Student Network is the coordinator of the project, and then there are other 3 partners that are universities located in Greece, in Thessaloniki, in the Netherlands, in Tilburg University, and in Madrid, Universidad Autónoma de Madrid, together with also the Lifelong Learning Platform and also an expert in labor mobility, called Expertise in Labor Mobility. So, the main goal was, as I mentioned before, to identify and help also the employers and the students to identify and recognize these competencies that were gained abroad, and to be able to provide materials, as I will show you later, that will help either employers or students to go through this learning path to understand what are all this learning. Because as you know, Erasmus or just going on mobility abroad is not just about doing that or just getting to know new friends on a new culture or a new language. It's much more beyond that. But we found out that it was difficult, either for students and also for employers, to identify what is the added value of all that. So we wanted to provide with some applications and apps and some tools, manuals also, to help the students identify that, to make, hopefully, the student a better student and a better professional. You have some of the outputs that I've been saying bits before about, and I will start from the right to the left, talking about the competence framework document that you see there on the right. This competence framework report is a desk research that has been enriched with data from a bibliometric analysis that we have done to see which kind of papers were out there in relation to international student experience and services, and also on competencies. What is the literature telling us on what are the competencies gained by students during this mobility? So we built this document, this report, that is already available to all of you in our webpage that I will show you at the end of the presentation, and it's accessible and hopefully helpful. So this is more about the competencies, what the literature was talking about, but also includes the vision and the view of the students, because we have done focus groups with the students to analyze all these gains. Then, in the middle, we have a report called Does the Study Abroad Pay Off During Recruitment? And here we represent the voice of employers. This is a very interesting document that we were wondering, do employers understand and value the mobility experience? We probably will say at first, yes, right? But there is much more than that. I mean, what they really recognize, what they really look for. So I encourage you, I'm not going to continue telling what is in the document, but I encourage you, if you are curious about it, to go in there and check about it, because it's a very nice research that has been done there. And then not only about all the research that we have done, more on the academic level, but also a manual, an employer manual, things to know when you're hiring internationals. I will say this is also a very key document, not only for employers, I will also say for people, practitioners working in international offices or employability offices. And it has a lot of valuable information that is worth reading. So what are we doing here today? Today, I'm lucky to be part of the first webinar series that the Erasmus Careers project is organizing to disseminate the results. So the first one, mine nowadays, now currently happening, about the roadmap of the International Student Lifecycle and how do students learn during their mobility experience. After mine, it will come the 11th of December, another seminar about introducing the self-learning tool for the International Student Lifecycle. So today we are going to learn about more the backup part of the tool and how we develop and how the research that we have done. And I'm going to show you part of the web page and the resources. And my colleagues will show you on the 11th of December the self-learning tool per se, and it's really an interesting one. And after that, in January, we will have by the colleagues from ELM, they will talk more about the employers, because we cannot talk only about the competencies, talk about what the students learn, how is their learning path, what are the services offered in the universities, and leave aside the employers, and leave aside the voice of the employers, because this cannot be separated. So, as you see here, a picture I wrote. So the roadmap of the International Student Lifecycle. What does it mean, right? All of us who went abroad could define the mobile experience like something exciting and challenging as you step into new environments and embrace also the opportunity for personal growth. But it also comes with new challenges and cultural adjustments, academic adaptation, and also a lot of self-discovery. So this journey might not be steady. And students, because students will navigate through curvy roads and also quite some bumps. But all that learning is the richness of the mobility program. So let's take a look into what I mean by this roadmap of the International Student Lifecycle. International Student Lifecycle, I call it by some research and the PhD that I have done some years ago, is a comprehensive framework that consists of 5 different stages for mobile students. The pre-arrival stage, the stage that's before leaving the institution, on arrival, once they arrive to the institution, during a stay, pre-departure, and re-entry. I will get into all of them with more detail a bit later on, yeah? But these 5 stages. So this model is created, or this structure is created to assist the students in all these stages with different support services, activities, and actions that the universities can offer them to enhance their international student experience. This is a way of picturing it, or how can we represent it. And as I was mentioning, the pre-arrival is just before going to the institution once you know about it. On arrival, once you put your first feet on the institution or the country that is hosting you, during is all this process that you are just studying there, discovering the city, discovering new friends, all that, which is the longest period. And then before you leave for your institution and the re-entry, I believe that these 2 stages are very important and should be taken into account. And it's not normally where the stages where you or the institutions place the focus on. And if we think about it, we are not supporting the students to help identifying and reflecting on all the learning that happened in the pre-arrival, on the on-arrival, and the during. if we, on the pre-departure and re-entry, don't talk about that. In my opinion, an excellent student experience for international students begins with tailored and at the right time support. So, about the desk research and institutional survey, I'm just going to give you brief information about it. As I mentioned before, you can find this document already uploaded in our webpage. So we conducted a bibliometric analysis of publications on the learning process and institutional support services to students that academics have done, and also not only academics, we also have checked great literature and some reports to see what was available. So we gathered together a lot of literature that was very important and related, of course, to the topic, and we put it in Zotero as a library, so it's available for everyone who wants to do a similar study. You already don't have to do it, so you can just find it in a link, or well, you can just do it and increase it, or update it with new data, but at least it's available there also for all of you curious about it. And then on top of that, so this information helped us to build the parts of the institutional survey. So then we sent a survey to 87 higher education institutions, and we collected 126 answers. And this survey was basically asking about the support services that institutions were offering in all these 5 stages. And we managed to get to 29 countries. So what we found out in the literature just about support services in a nutshell, and just to mention 6 main of them, we found quite some literature on papers talking about pre-departure services, so information and support before leaving. Not only paper, also this can be part of paper. So not only that, it's not that the paper was just talking about this, but it was part of that. About orientation programs, there you also see some of the authors that have tackled that. It's not the only author, but it's just a sample that you can see. Quite some papers were talking about academic support, the English language as a language of structure. There has been a lot of papers about that. The cultural integration, quite a big topic as well. Housing assistance, maybe not such a big research topic, but a very big or important one nowadays. And of course, the same goes for health and wellness. And then we also found some other papers that they were talking about more from the point of view of challenges for international students. And I have to mention here that the project is funded by the European Commission, and it's true that we focus on Erasmus, but many of this information you will find relevant for international mobile students that are doing mobility, yeah? So challenges that they encounter, cultural adjustment as well. Also, some of them, not many, were talking about legal and visa issues, isolation, communication barriers, and financial concerns. So here we see a bit, in a nutshell, a bit of the main topics that the papers were talking till 2022 when we finalized the study. As a result from the institutional survey, when we built the survey, and I'm not going to show you here the results, all the results, because they will be too long or will be time for another webinar. I just want to show you that the overall perception and satisfaction with the services that institutions were offering. If we think about all these 5 stages, you can see that the most satisfied that they were thinking, okay, we offer more services, and we think that the value of our services is more or in the stages of pre-arrival and on arrival, as you can see, but not so much on pre-departure and re-entry, and also on a slide down in during. So this already gives us, okay, the hints like there is not much done in these last stages. So we do a lot of effort as academics or practitioners just at the very beginning of the journey of the students, but then that effort dilute. So pre-arrival, we are going into the stages, and I'm going to show you part of the survey. So as I mentioned, this is the initial stage of the International Student Lifecycle, the phase in which the student has not yet arrived to the host institution and is preparing for mobility. What the institutions can do, or what institutions are doing? Well, many of them will focus on linguistic support, or just supporting them in finding accommodation. Not many of them, but there are things that you can also do, right? Assistance in the procedure for obtaining visas, mobility application, preparing the learning agreement. But what about also giving financial information about the host country? Or just about, this neighborhood is better for students because it's well connected to the university by train or by metro or something, or because it's safer, this part of the city. All this information is very relevant and should be done in the pre-arrival. On arrival, this is the stage in which the student has just arrived at the host institution and is adapting to the new environment. What we can do here? Well, the welcome weeks or welcome days that most of us have, very important ones, is also the moment that we show our institution for the first time to the students. So it's an important day. They are very nervous, and we also probably are very nervous. What else we can do? Also, information about the health care system, how it works, or where are the hospitals, where are the centers, how it works here. You know, do you need to call? Do you need to do it online? How it's working? You need to go that in person. And also maybe, for example, the mentoring program, the buddy system. This can be just some examples. During a stay is the stage during which the student is enrolled in the studies and in the host institution. Here we can do a lot of things. And as we have seen, it's kind of, on one hand, the student is like, okay, I'm settled here. I cannot forget about the rest. And also for us can be a bit more like, okay, all the procedures are in place. Just let also the student enjoy, which I also understand this is a very important one. But we can also provide with some services and leave it there as a voluntarily, or if you want, you can join. What can it be? Organization of social activities, of course, that many of us do, if not outsourced to other associations, to provide psychological support and wellness. What we found out, and we see it like many times, this support in some institutions is either in the language of the country of that institution, and maybe it's not the language that the student understands, the international student, and maybe this information is not reaching the student. It's not that we don't offer the same service of wellness or well-being for the international students, it's just that maybe the language of the communication is not flowing or working well. Yeah. What else? Again, continue with this linguistic support the integration with local students in the community, volunteer opportunities, workshop for creation personal and professional networks, not leave this to the end of their stay, but already from the very beginning, because who knows, maybe they want to stay, maybe they want to do an internship or stay there for working, right? And also to support with also all this educational material or the academic support that they might need. What else? The pre-departure. Just before leaving the institution, right? Preparing to leave the host institution and to return to the home institution. Provide the students with clear information about administrative requirements. Exams, you need to return this book. If not, you're going to appear in this database forever. Maybe giving them or some employment information, how it's going to work, about your status or your situation, labor market context, career opportunities, and very important, social media connection. Remember to make the students your ambassadors. Now they are leaving, connect them in LinkedIn or in other social media that you use for your institution, because they have been students of your institution and they're going to spread them all the good things that they learned there. And then the reentry, as I was saying, all this learning that the students get, they're leaving the institution, arriving to the new institution, and I don't think we do enough on helping them reflecting on all this learning and how can they convert all the learning they got in international mobility in wording, in competencies that they acquire, so they can, when they go to look for a job or to talk to an employer, they can show that in a fancier way, I will say. Also very important here, the adjustment back to your own culture can be a shock happening. Also some academic information about recognition of ECTS credits or just credits and reintegration activities. Yeah, just to give you some of the ideas. So I would like to share you here now the learning path that we have been doing within the Erasmus Careers project. And it's a platform based on this student life cycle with these 5 stages, as I just mentioned. And then institutions can customize their support services and then, adjust to what they need or what they want. So here is the link where it can be found. It's in erasmuscareers.org, learning journey. And I'm going to show you in a second. But first, I would like to show you an example of how it looks like. For example, if we take a look on the pre-arrival stage, it's like, I would like to go on Erasmus, but I don't know where to start looking, for example. Something that will come in our webpage will be some small steps you can take. Before that, we normally uploaded a video or a resource that already tells the student or place the student on this statement or on this issue. So small steps you can take, for example. Go to Erasmus sessions. And if you have not gone to the Erasmus session of your institution, look for it, or if not, go to International page and look for this. Remember to check language requirements, very important, of the language requirements of the university you're applying for. So do also this research before. Then we add there a link, for example, in this case for the pre-arrival stage and this statement, check the Erasmus Plus grant simulator to see how much money you can get, right? So you can estimate your Erasmus grant based on your mobility type. I think this is very important because we have seen in the literature is that financials are really sometimes, like an issue for many international students, and not all of them can afford to go abroad financially. So in this sense, just to prevent them, okay, can I afford it, or how much money will I need if I'm going there, right? And then also try to find the responsible for accommodation, and already telling in advance to them that accommodation is not easy, and it's something it needs to start much earlier than once you arrive to the institution or to the city. So just by telling them all these tips, all this information, we are already doing, helping them a lot, I will say. And for practitioners, if you would like at some point to use this web page, of course, free of use, and more than happy that people just use it, you already save a lot of time, a lot of your time that you as practitioner, maybe in the international office, are using for these things. Let's take a look. Well, not yet, sorry. I will show you a bit more because this is not only what it shows, it also shows, and it's connected to the competencies that you can gain in, for example, by going also through that challenges that I was mentioning. For example, self-awareness, efficacy, analytical thinking, flexibility, take the initiative. And then we also add links in all these statements, interesting links that we believe that will help the student to get a better overview of, how he or she can be prepared. For example, guidelines on how to use the Erasmus Plus Learning Agreement or an outgoing Erasmus student handbook. So as you see, we try to feed here with all the information relevant. It's not that the information that we are adding there is the only one, no, but it's the one that we found more interesting and it was close to us. But we are very welcome also to check other resources that are interesting and just to help and continue supporting the students with more resources and more knowledge. So now is the moment. So let's take a look at how does it look in real. I'm going to change the screen and go to the web page. So look, if you just go to erasmuscareers.org, here you see, some items, and I would like to show you today this one. My colleagues will talk later to you in the other seminar about the competence inventory, but for now, I would like to focus on this one, the learning journey. As I mentioned before, the learning journey is this journey that is divided in this. One second. Someone told me that you cannot see. I'm gonna share the journey. No, apologies for that. Okay, so there we go again. So here is the Erasmus Careers project webpage, erasmuscareers.org, and here in these items on the top, you can see the learning journey that I'm going to show you today, and also the competence inventory. My colleagues will talk to you in another seminar about the competence inventory, and here you find the learning journey that I would like to show you today. And we have a bit of an explanation that I already told you a bit about it, about how it's developed, and that is a framework created to facilitate the journey of the international student mobility. And here you see the stages. And here represented like a W curve, which is true that students go through that in their journey. Down, if you click on Discover More about the learning journey, you will find what I was just mentioning before. All the 5 stages here on the left: pre-arrival, on arrival, during stay, pre-departure, and re-entry. And here you can just click. That was the one I was showing you before. Like, okay, I would like to go on Erasmus, but I don't know where to start. And here you have some tests. And here some video about, in this case, feeling stressed before mobility. And someone telling you a bit about their experience and so on. Here you find the small steps you can take and competencies and different links to very important information that you can link to this statement. For example, if I just go to on arrival, that's the best thing ever. It kind of follows the same way. So a bit an introduction. Here are some small steps and the competencies that you can gain. Linked all of that to the competence inventory. For example, the reentry, the one that has not been a lot, well, we have not talked so much about it and there has not been a lot of research done about this one. I think this is a very interesting question for a student willing to do mobility. Like, will my Erasmus experience be valuable for my career? So here again, so we add some studies and some information, some video about the employer's perspective, what their employer's thinking, and here some of interesting manuals and links to that. It's very important to also mention that in the next webinar, they will show you about this self-assessment tool, which is very interesting, and students will be able to self-assess their competencies in all the stages of the International Student Lifecycle. So I'm very proud that at some point we will be able to have all of these resources available for all of you, and also this self-learning tool that students will be able to use. So now I'm just going back to share my presentation, back to the presentation, which was here. Okay. So as I was saying, this self-assessment tool is a personalized roadmap because every student will be able to go in that tool or in that app and just check and do this self-assessment in all the stages to see how are the competencies doing. And then at the end, they will be able to compare. At the end of the journey, they will be able to compare. And then I would say it will be very interesting and super valuable for employers and for themselves, of course. Also for practitioners in higher education institutions to know which kind of competencies their students who go abroad develop more. I think this is going to be a big step in what we have done in the project. So, as I was mentioning, just to remind you, these are our next events. And from my side, I don't have more to say. There are going to be, of course, time now for questions and answers if you have. I will encourage you to visit our webpage. As I said, today I was only showing you a little part of what we have been doing, but we have already uploaded there 3 very interesting documents that you can take a look, the reports that I mentioned. Plus, in the webpage itself, you will find this learning path with different items and suggestions, tips, recommendations, resources to students, plus this self-learning tool and a competence inventory. Feel also free to contact if you'd like to know more. And now I will be waiting to see if there is any question coming. Thank you very much for listening. Okay, I see there is one question in the chat already saying, where are some of the examples of tailored support services? These ones can be found in the document, well, in the presentation that I mentioned. You see in the list, in all the stages that appeared, you see the list on the right. These are just more general examples. And then on the report that we have done, that will be uploaded probably in January on the institutional survey, you could see more information about it. And also in some of the research that I have done, I have gone deeper on some of the services, but not in all the publications, in all of them. Yeah, thank you. I don't know if we have more questions. Okay. So it looks like there are no more questions, but in any case, as I mentioned, feel free to contact us, to contact me if you would like to know. Oh, there is another question coming. Sorry, I was too fast on that. Okay, the question is about what role does self-assessment play in helping students understand their learning path and competencies? Okay, the self-assessment will show, well, this will be shown in, I think it was 11th of December in that webinar. The self-assessment will help the students to understand about the competencies that they have before going on mobility, when they arrive, during their stay, and in all the stages. So that will be the main learning, understanding that, and of being, I will say, of very good help to help this, that they can just do the self-assessment and say, okay, I've been not very, I don't know, team player at the beginning, but then maybe at the end of my Erasmus mobility, I do the survey again, and I suddenly see that I have, I don't know, improved my team building skills, just to give you an example. Do we have more questions? Not that I see on the chat. Okay, so I will ask the organizers. I think if there are no more questions, I will say we close the webinar here. Thank you for listening, and thank you for those people that made the questions, for making the questions. And please keep in touch and keep an eye on the Erasmus Careers project and the outputs that we have been developing in order to help students and so they have a better international student experience. Thank you very much.